Hey Bookish Babes, and welcome to my book nook.
We are monsters. We give and we take.
For those that are new around here, my name is Rainy Barton. I read all types of books, primarily fantasy romance, so if you're interested in that, please like and subscribe to my channel down below. If you're not new around here, then you know that Rainy doesn't normally sound like this. I sound like an old chain smoker. Why? Because I'm losing my voice, because I don't feel great, plus also the weather is changing because we're literally about to have a massive hurricane, and so that kind of messes with my vocal cords a little bit. Plus, I kept praying that I wouldn't lose my voice, because I lose my voice about 3 to 4 times a year. And like, when I lose my voice, okay? Including singing, like, I can't sing. And I kept praying that I wouldn't lose it during Circus Palooza, and Circus Palooza was last weekend. So I feel like the Lord said, and now you can lose it. So that's what's happening. So anyway, I'm going to try my best while speaking. I'm sorry that I sound like a 60-year-old chain smoker, but we're going to go with it, okay? Okay. Anyway, you're not here for that. You're here to hear about my August and September reading wrap-ups / tier ranking. So I do tier ranking style because that's more fun to me than just showing you the books and talking about them, because I honestly hate filming wrap-ups, and I've kind of gotten into the habit of doing bi-monthly, so like adding 2 months together. So we're going to go through my stats first for August and September, and then we'll go through the books like in order of like what I read. And then we'll rank them. And I will timestamp everything so that if you're not a stats girly, you don't have to watch that. Although I'm always interested in other people's stats. Maybe that's just me. And from there, we'll just move right along with our little lives. So let's start by talking about August. Now, August was a very busy month for me because I went back to school, and I've kind of not been reading nearly as much as I did at the beginning of the year since I hit my initial Goodreads goal of 100, but my real goal is 150. I think I can hit it. I'm at 120 currently, so I have to read 30 books between now and then, and I think I can do it. But as for August, I read 6 books. I read 5 books. Wow, if you think about it, because I DNF'd one. So 6 books. I read 2,180 pages. I listened to 15 hours of audio. My average rating was a 4.8. You'll know why in a minute. That was really high. Books acquired was 12. And I just want to note that every other month this year, it's been over 30. That is significant growth for me, okay? That's pretty good, if I do say so myself. Library book 0, reread 0, DNFs 1, and I started 3 series and I had 0 diverse reads. Yes, I know. I really hate myself for that. I'm not proud of that statement. I'm not. And if we go into the ratings, I had 1 DNF, 2 4.5 stars, and 3 5 stars. I literally loved everything that I was reading in August except for the DNF. Like, that was probably my most successful month ever, so I'm not sad about it. My shortest book was Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, because I only read 138 pages. Can you guess the DNF? My shortest book read was House of Bane and Blood, 5 hours of audio. My longest book read was Quicksilver, which was 622 pages. And then my longest book read was A Kingdom That's Cursed and Empty for 6 hours of audio. As far as the genres go, I read 1 historical, 1 horror, 3 romantasy, and 1 thriller. And then diversity, like we said, I had 0 diverse reads, but I did read 1 that was LGBTQ plus rap, but I had 0 that were own voices, so the percent diverse is 0, and I'm sad about that, and I need to fix that, and I need to fix that. The format, there were 6 novels, so I read all novels this month. The source was 2 were physical reads and 4 were a mixture, immersion reading. We know that that's always going to stand out on top. That is always my bread and butter. The audience was all adult, so it was 6 adult novels, and I acquired 2 from Amazon, 3 from a bookstore, 1 from KU, so I am making use of my KU subscription. For authors, I read 0 debut books, but I read 3 new to me authors and 3 read from before, so I'm blending in like the new authors versus the old authors. For series, 4 were part of a series and 2 were standalones, and then we'll finally actually get to the books that I actually read in August. Middle of the Night, DNF. Kingdom That's Cursed and Empty, 4.5 stars. Peaches and Honey, 4.5 stars. House of Bane and Blood, 5 stars. Bloom, 5 stars. And Quicksilver, 5 stars. And so that is everything that I read in August. So now we're going to whiz over to September, talk about September stats, and then dive into tier rankings. September was a slightly better month, meaning that I read 10 books. So that's doing better on the up and up. I read most of them in the second half of September is when I really kicked my booty into gear. I read a total of 3,694 pages. So I read a lot bigger, chunkier books, which we'll see in just a second. I listened to 27 hours of audio. My average rating was a 4.0, so it's a lot less than last month. Books acquired, 13. Let's keep note of that. It's getting better. Library book 0, rereads 0, DNF 0, started 5 series, and had 3 diverse reads. So I kicked it up a notch in September. Thank goodness. For the ratings, we had 1 2-star, 1 3.5 star, 4 4 stars, 3 4.5 stars, and 1 5 star. So I'm still primarily really loving and enjoying what I'm reading. Like, I do have a pretty good idea of what my reading taste is at this point. The shortest book I read was Dinosaur Sanctuary Volume 1 at 193 pages, and the shortest audiobook that I read was The Midnight Feast at 3 hours. The longest book I read was Queen of Shadows at 645 pages, and the longest book that I listened to was also Queen of Shadows at 8 hours of audio. For the genres this month, I read 2 fantasy, 1 horror, 1 romance, 4 romantasy, 1 sci-fi, and 1 thriller. Now maybe you're wondering, what do I declare as like fantasy versus romance versus romantasy? If the book is like primarily romance with like a splash of fantasy in it, then like they're in a fantasy world, then it's romantasy. If it's fantasy and the romance comes really secondary, I consider it fantasy. For diversity, like I said, I had 3 diverse reads, 1 with LGBTQ plus rep, and 3 were from own voices, and so the percent diverse was 30%. Look at me go. For format, we had 1 graphic novel, 2 manga, and 7 novels. For the source, I read 2 ebooks, 3 physical, and 5 were a mixture. The audience was 6 adult books, 1 new adult book, and 3 YA, because that's the graphic novels / manga. I acquired 3 from Amazon, 4 from the bookstore, and 3 from the library, so utilizing my library. As far as authors go, 2 was their debut novel, 3 were new to me, and 5 I have read from before. For series, 8 were part of a series, and 2 were standalones. Now let's get to which books I read in September. A book that I'm going to keep secret for now, 2 stars. The Night Ends with Fire, 3.5 stars. Zodiac Academy Book 1, The Awakening, 4 stars. Zodiac Academy Book 2, Ruthless Fae, 4 stars. Dinosaur Sanctuary Volume 1, 4 stars. Blood on the Tracks Volume 1, 4 stars. Zodiac Academy Book 3, The Reckoning, 4.5 stars. Queen of Shadows, 4.5 stars. The Midnight Feast, 4.5 stars. And The Prince and the Dressmaker, 5 stars. So now that we've talked all about stats, let's get to the tier ranking. Hey friends, I'm honestly gonna whiz through this super duper quick because I do this the same tier ranking every time. It is Friends themed, which makes sense because my Patreon is Friends themed, which it's a great time over there. If you're interested, we're gonna be doing watch longs. We're starting book clubs. We have extra content over there. Sprints. It's super fun. So you can join with the link underneath this bio or video. But as far as this goes, these are all popular Friends quotes. So He's Her Lobster is like, God tier books. Like, they're fabulous. Nothing wrong with them. Would not change anything. Then we have What's Not to Like. Custard, good. Jam, good. Meat, good. It's when Rachel makes a recipe, combines 2 recipes on accident, doesn't go very well. And Joey eats it anyway. So it's like, what's not to like about these things? Like, it's not the best of the best, but like, it was a grand old time. Then we have Smelly Cat, Smelly Cat. What are they feeding you? You're welcome for that rendition right now. And that's like, there's something wrong with it. Like, you want to love it because it's your cat, but they're a little smelly. Something was missing there. Then you have I Wish I Could, but I Don't Want to. That's I wish I could like this book, but I'm not sad that I didn't. And then we have the famous Janice's Oh My God. These books were so unbelievably atrocious. I can't believe that I'm wasting my energy with this. And so that's that. So, with that being said, let's just dive right in, shall we? And let's talk about Zodiac Academy, but we're going to have to do each book individually. So, this would go, Zodiac Academy number 1, The Awakening, would go into What's Not to Like, because I've already read this before. This was a reread so that I could start the series over again. It's definitely the worst one of the series. The writing is the worst. Just, it's so cringy. It's so... the amount of bad quotes in this I really can't handle. But it was just so much fun. I was so invested. It is a bully romance at its finest. I'm not a bully romance girly. I don't know why this worked for me. I do have an entire spoilery vlog with non-spoiler sections for books 1 through 3, which I'll link underneath here as well in case you're interested. But it was just a good old time, okay? We're here for a good time, not a long time with those books, okay? Then we have, let's go to number 2, Ruthless Fae, and that is also What's Not to Like. But that's really where my journey peaked, okay? It was starting to get a lot more interesting. I was getting to know more of the characters. I was starting to understand the relationships that are starting to form. It was really sucking me in. But then we got to The Reckoning, which the more I think about it, it probably should be a 5-star. It is such a good book. It's probably one of the best ones in the series. The heat was heating. The steam was steaming. The tension was tensioning, okay? When I tell you that this book was just so much fun. And I couldn't stop reading. I was flying through this. I read these books that are each over 500 pages, the last one like 700 pages, in like the span of like 5 days. I just could not stop reading. I was so absolutely hooked. I had the best freaking time with this. Then we get to The Prince and the Dressmaker, and I did give it a 5-star. I don't know where to put this book because it has no flaws, but it wasn't like a god tier book. So I'm going to put it in what's not to like, even though I gave it 5 stars, because I had such a good time with this, but it's not going to be an all-time favorite. But it was so cute. It's about this prince who is, he's wants to dress in women's clothes. He hires a dressmaker, and then they end up falling in love. And it's the cutest freaking thing ever, and I just loved it, and I had the best time while reading it. Like, it was so good. It was so good. If you haven't read it, you should. Then I read Blood on the Tracks, Volume 1. And I'm going to put that in what's not to like, because I knew that going into this was going to be like a bad seed, psycho Bates Motel moment where the mom is beyond crazy and, the family is just trying to figure out what to do with her. And I will say that book number 1 ended on a cliffhanger. Now, I don't understand why so many people are like absolutely obsessed with this, say it's like the best horror manga out there. Like, it was all right. It was honestly kind of boring until the end, and then it hooked me, and so I was interested after that. But it's not like the most amazing thing I've ever read, but it was a fun time, and I will continue on with the series. Then we got to Dinosaur Sanctuary Volume 1, and anything that has dinosaurs in it cannot possibly be bad. I mean, it can't, right? Like, I loved it. It was Jurassic Park coded. Like, it's just about these people that work at a dinosaur sanctuary taking care of the dinos, and crazy stuff ensues when you're working with dinos. I don't really know what more of an explanation you need for that, but you should put it on your radar. Then we get to Queen of Shadows, and people are not gonna like me for this. I'm putting it in Smelly Cat, only because, yes, I gave it a 4.5. However, I've been expecting to be madly in love with this series. Everyone tells me it's the best. Everyone says it's her best. And then every book I read, I'm really bored for a long crap period of time until about the last 100 pages, and then everything amps into gear. And so the end of this, I was so invested. I had so many questions. It bumped its way up from like a 3 to a 4.5. Like, I get it, okay? But I don't have the feelings that everybody else has. Now, maybe it's because I didn't read these at the time that I should have, back when they were just coming out, and everyone was starting their life with their SJM journey. I've read so many romanticies before I actually read SJM, which makes me think that I'm recognizing the flaws that everyone else probably also recognizes but won't acknowledge because this was the first books that they read. So, like, I get that, and I'm still continuing on with the series. I have the tandem read locked and loaded and ready to go. I'm just not obsessed with this yet, and I'm a little sad about it. And we have Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, and I'm putting this in He's Her Lobster. I had so much fun with this. It's a short, creepy, weird horror novella about these two girls. One that meets the other one at like a farmer vintage market. One sells cupcakes, one is buying cupcakes from her, and then it's like a story of obsession that goes drastically wrong, which I'm always here for. And I'm just gonna say, I thought I knew where we were headed, and then the last sentence alone and last page made me go, oh dear God. I still envision that scene in my mind, and you know that when it lives in your head rent-free, that is a fabulous book. Honestly, no flaws. I had a great time start to finish. I read this in one sitting, but it's not for the faint of heart. I will use that disclaimer. Then we have Peaches and Honey, which we read for my book club, at me and Katy's book club, the Tortured Readers book club. And I'm going to put it in what's not to like. However, I'm going to say this is not a book for most people. It is a historical fantasy romance, which right there, you're like, Rainy, that's a word, a buzzword that you do not acquaint yourself with. And you are right. However, you'll also say, but Rainy, it's Addie LaRue coded, which is also something that you don't stand by. And you're right. And I don't know why this book worked for me. I really don't. It's extremely repetitive. Nothing really happens until the last 2%. And it has a sequel that really shouldn't exist, is all I'm going to say. And yet I absolutely loved it at 4.5 star. I don't know if I read it at the right time. I don't know what was going on for me. It does not make me want to reconsider my actions and go back and read Addie LaRue. I have no interest in reading that. But, I'm happy that this was such a great time for me. And you know what? I just loved it. But it is not for everybody. Then we get to Middle of the Night, and honestly, you know what I'm putting in? Oh my God. This was so beyond boring, and people kept telling me to go. They were like, once you get to like 150 pages, it really kicks in. And I'm like, there's no book. There's no reason that it should take 150 pages for me to be invested in a book. Plus, I had it spoiled for me. The ending is stupid. I absolutely don't like it. There was like this red herring in the middle that is so dumb, and I wish that they had gone the direction of the red herring instead, because that was way more interesting than the way that they went with it. But I'm starting to realize that Mr. Sager is not an author for me, because I've only enjoyed one book of his, and I've read 4. That's not very good odds. Then we have The Midnight Feast by Lucy Foley, and I was scared that she was going to let me down, because I've only loved the guest list. I just kind of liked the Paris apartment. I kind of liked the hunting party. She really brought it back in this one. It is a what's not to like one. It was a 4.5 stars. I had so much fun with this. It was giving guest list vibes the entire time. The only reason that I didn't give it the same is because guest list, she really kept you guessing till the very end. She put all the pieces together in the last 20 pages for you. This one, I saw a lot of it ahead of time because she led it that way, which was fine, but I wasn't as shocked at everything at the end. Like, I was shocked by a few things still, but I had so much fun with this. I don't know if what she puts in her books, it's crack, because I will always read them. I just have the best time with them. It was great. And then we get to A Kingdom That's Cursed and Empty, and I'm also going to put it in What's Not to Like. This series is just a fun comfort read at this point. It is a popcorn series, okay? It's thoughts empty. You don't need a lot to enjoy this. It goes by really, really quickly. I actually need to read book 3 very soon, probably for romantasy. But I just love it. I read it in like a day. Honestly, this series is so fun. It has a lot of the popular romantasy tropes. It's a great one to start with if you haven't read anything before. So, I love it very much. Then we have The Night Ends with Fire, and it does hurt me to put it in Smelly Cat because it had such promise, okay? It started out really strong. The first 100 pages, I was live, laugh, loving. I buddy read this with Katy and Brittany, although I don't think Katy ever actually read it, so I think it was just me and Brittany. But it's a Mulan retelling, okay? The first 100 pages, very Mulan coded, having the best time. Then we got to the middle, and it got very politicky and kind of boring, and the problem that I had was when I stopped immersion reading it and listened to it on audio so that I could finish the book, I got very confused. And so I probably missed a lot of information in about 50 pages. I went back to immersion reading. I was loving my life more. But it kept going back and forth between really enjoying it, really not. Really enjoying it, really not. And then it went away that I wasn't expecting at the end, and so it intrigued me. I don't know, though, if I'm going to continue on with it. Like, I really don't know. I would have to really, I don't know. I just don't know if I'm going to continue on. But I feel bad because I really wanted to love this. Although it was very well crafted for a debut. I really will say that. Of House of Bane and Blood. That's obviously He's Her Lobster. Oh my gosh, I loved this. It was a mafia-esque fantasy romance with a man with a metal arm. I mean, that's all I gotta say, okay? It was arranged marriage. It was found family. I just, everything in this book was fabulous. I loved it so much. I can't wait to read the sequel. I am just absolutely obsessed with it. In fact, I should be reading the sequel right now for Fabelin, for the readathon that I'm in the middle of, so maybe I will get to that today. But honestly, there's no faults with this. And then Quicksilver. Obviously, it's going to go first. No, it needs to be first, thank you. Because it's my favorite romantasy. It's so good. I absolutely love this. It was just so good. And the audiobook comes out in like 2 weeks, so I get to reread it again and live my best life. But then I have to wait a year for the freaking sequel because she's traditionally published now and all, which yay for her. Sucks for me. This had so many good tropes, but it was just done so well. And Kingfisher is such a cinnamon roll, but also grumpy gills. Like, he is grumpy, but he will take care of you. The things that he says, what a man. What a man we have in Kingfisher, okay? What a man. But now you should seriously screenshot this because most of the books I liked. Because Smelly Cat just means they didn't work for me for some reason or other. There's really only one book that I wouldn't recommend. So this is a great place to screenshot. And now we're going to dive back into wrapping up this vloggy vlog. And so those are all the books that I read and loved and didn't love in August and September. If you got to the end of this video, let's put a you know what? We always put those types of emojis. Let's put a light emoji because I see the Midnight Feast and there's a bunch of lights on here. A lamp, a light, whatever lights you're both. Let me know which, if you've read any of these books, if you liked them, let me know what your best book was in September. Let me know so that I can add it to my list because I love adding tons of books to my list. And with that being said, I will see you guys very soon with a super special announcement on Sunday. Bye.